Hey fellow YouTubers, this is N0AGI. I'm here to do a video on my workspace area. I think the time has come for me to kind of redesign this space a little bit. I think the last time I did this must have been 6 months or so ago. But it has definitely evolved, and a lot of stuff lying on the floor. As you can tell, there's wires and the extension cords and power boxes and whatnot, and there's also stuff lying around here, and my electronics workspace area has gotten a little bit weird with parts lying around everywhere. And definitely, I think this needs some redesigning a little bit. I don't know if I covered this or not. This is my, as of 6 months ago, a quick view of the ham shack area. Although because of my travel and just my work got so busy, I absolutely have had no chance to spend any time on the ham radio related work. Although a lot of my data related services continue to run on the air, and I just keep an eye on it, but I don't handhold them or babysit them. But anyways, I need to kind of redesign this a little bit, and also my work area here has been it can use some ergonomic restructuring, so to speak. But anyway, so this video is all about redesigning, not too much, not too radically, but for example, the ham radio area, I want to add another tier, so I'm going to bring those two tiers back on this table here. I'm going to move this there, and I have another workbench that'll go in this area. You might have seen my previous videos where I took this workbench here. I got this one at Sam's Club, must have been a year or so ago, where I had cut it to size, so it's not, conventionally or by design, this desk is supposed to be a high table or high desk, but I chopped it down a few inches, so it's more comfortable, and more ergonomic to me, at least. So that's what I did to this table, or this desk rather. So I'm going to move this back over here, stack those two tiers on top of this as it used to be. So that'll be the dedicated ham radio area. And then what I did was I went to the Sam's Club this morning, and I purchased another desk made by the same manufacturer, and same design, except for this desk has adjustable feature in it, so I don't have to cut it down to size. So that's really helpful. Definitely takes down the added tinkering. So I'm gonna definitely make use of that. And this box here has the surface area. Also, I purchased this guy here. It's a 4-foot linkable LED light, and I bought 3 of these. One was installed this morning in my workshop, and this one I'm gonna install right under my electronics workbench area, so that area gets lit up when I work on projects or whatever. So that's really the intent of this video here today, and I'm hoping that this shouldn't take too long. I think the biggest workload here is to kind of move all of these equipments over, rewire them, redesign them, relocate them, sort of a thing. So there's some amount of thinking that needs to go in here. For example, if you look at some of these radios, this one here is the packet radio. It also does the this is a packet radio 14567. That's the APRS station. This is the DMR home station here, and it's defaulting to my Buckhill repeater. And of course that's a powerhouse, and that's the ham workstation. That's the N0AGI. And then there's also, of course, that's my ICOM 7800, and that's the Frogger 100. And of course, there's a bunch of stuff here. For example, this Yaesu 857 was taken down, I believe, 4 months ago. I wanted to work on a DMR data component, kind of an experiment. I never really got to it because I ended up using a DMR radio to conduct those tests and experiments. So this was kind of decommissioned for that, whatever, 4 months now. So I may have to repurpose that for another idea I have for HF APRS, so I'll probably work on that. So anyways, there's some projects here. For example, here there's the KPC 9612 Plus, which does a lot of the packet noding for me on the 14567. So as you can tell, it looks organized, but really it's not, because there's components here that are there but are not being used, or they're not being powered on because I took them down for a purpose and I didn't have time to work on them. So a lot of that cycle has been going on lately because of my work, travel, etc. So I'm hoping by redesigning some of this, I will get motivated to spend some time on these on Saturday nights or whatever, Sunday mornings, and see what we can do. And this one here, this is a 43-inch 4K monitor made by AOC. That's primarily for my dev-related work. I spend a lot of time keeping my hands dirty on cloud-related projects. I do a lot of work with Azure, with my Raspberry Pi farm. I do quite a bit of work on natural language processing. So I do a lot of Visual Studio Code related, dev work at home. Not work related, but in my role, I try to keep myself as technically close to the technology changes as possible. And that's so I definitely enjoy that. So that's really my workstation. And this is the Dell laptop, which is my dev laptop. It's got a 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte, or I think 2 terabytes SSD on it. Fantastic laptop for dev-related work. So all of the ham radio projects that you've seen, for example, the MNDMR dashboard, the APIs, the call sign lookup, the mndmr.net, any of that related stuff that you've seen on the air, on my websites, etc., they have all been built using this laptop and then have been deployed over to the web farms. So really, I really enjoy that. This one here is the LG monitor. That's not 4K, but reasonable. I forget what the exact resolution is. Fairly decent resolution. So that's my time. That's my plan, at least. So I'll get to work on this tonight. I think it's, I don't know what time it is right now, Saturday night. Must be 8 or 9 o'clock, I think. So I'll work on this stuff tonight yet, get it done, hopefully. And I have to get it done either today or at the worst case by Sunday morning tomorrow, because I have to be up and running Monday morning again for work. So that's the plan. Thanks again. Please stay tuned, and I'll be right back. Okay, so things are taking some shape and form now, and I think this is very similar to what I used to have maybe 6 months ago. Um, and basically, I'm gonna leave those as is, but I'm trying to readjust um, just so it becomes more workable space here. I don't want to clutter things together too much. I think I have enough room now to kind of spread things out a little bit, but making sure that they are kind of categorized, maybe HF on one side and VHF, UHF on the other side, um, and maybe the packet stuff in the middle somewhere, who knows. But anyway, so things are taking shape and form. I just wanted to kind of show you guys something here. This is nothing, this is not rocket science by any means. So if you are here in the Twin Cities area, and if you're looking for some cable management ideas, um, this is a typical, commercial office space type of cable management conduit. This can be very easily managed, right? So this kind of goes on some sort of a surface area, and you feed your wires through these, and then these fins here, these fins are flexible, so you can shove wires through them. And then this is kind of a lid that goes on top of that, sort of like a slidable lid. This lid kind of slides through these grooves, if you know what I mean. So this has those grooves, um, those grooves, um, and they kind of ride on top of these grooves here, sort of like a slidable lid. So I bought this at I think it's called Next Day Automation, um, here in the Twin Cities area. I forget where they are now. I think it might be Fridley or Brooklyn Park. Who knows? I forget. But anyways, look up Next Day Automation. They had these on sale. I think I paid $19 for this one big strip. I think this is whatever, 6-footer. I think that it's a 6-footer, yeah. So I'm gonna install that in the back here, somewhere here in the middle tier or in the bottom tier, and then feed the wires through it. That way cables they're not kind of hanging everywhere. So anyways, so things are taking shape and form. I'll be right back. Okay, I wanted to show you guys one more thing here. Again, this is nothing fancy, but what this is so I have this FT1D, and I have this KPC 3 Plus. And what I have done in the past, I think when I was first starting with my ham radio, you know, aspirations and whatnot, I built an APRS slash packet station to go sort of a project. I think it must be my video number 2 or 3 or something in that range. But anyways, so what this does is really it's a 5-watt max, right? Because this is 5 watts. Packet station that you could use to test your other packet nodes, so that you could connect to this modem, right, TNC, and send packets through this radio, and then tune into the same frequency as these other packet nodes are, and then tune into that frequency and send test packets through this, and then see how the whole thing behaves. And I mean, again, you don't need 5 watts. I mean, obviously, the tower for the antenna for this guy and for this guy is actually just outside. It's on my tower outside. It's not too far away, so you could actually just keep this at a very low power, 1 watt even, and it works just fine. And the beauty of this is you could use this for any experiments or testing. If you were to stage a packet node, and if you want to test something, you could very easily do that through the station here. And here's another idea. I mean, obviously, this is just an internal antenna. I mean, this is not even a rubber ducky. This actually works really well. I don't know where I got this from, but I think this must be no idea where I got this from. Anyway, so this works really well. It's got a very good gain on it, and it works really well. Now you could also very easily take one of my VHF antennas and then just put a BNC adapter to it, and then go outside, right? And you can easily reach outside through one of the antennas on my tower, if you want to expand your test capability, if you know what I mean. So anyways, I thought I mentioned that because this is going to be very useful to me, because as I test my packet nodes, uh, for example, this station here will be serving my WinLink gateway. It'll also be serving my KA node, right, in the Prior Lake node station. So I could tune into 14565 through here, and then I can test WinLink through here, or I could test KA node through here. So basically, the packets will go from here, and then will be received by this station, and then the transmission, or the conversation will happen between these two, and you can test that and you can experiment that very easily. So thought I mentioned that, and this, I mean, the FT1D is a phenomenal radio, and if you don't have it, and if you can't get a handle on it, or get hold of it at a decent price, please explore that, because this is a phenomenal radio. It works really well even as a data node. In this case, I will be using this as a data node. And what this cable is, this is sold by Yaesu. This is, I believe, this is CT44. I have one other cable. One sec here. Give me a sec. Yep, this is CT44, right? This is the, it's called the mic adapter, but what it is it's a data cable, and then you can hook it up to your FT1D like I have here, and then I made a custom cable that connects this guy to my TNC KPC 3 Plus. It works really well. So anyways, I thought I mentioned that, and I'll, if maybe in a future video, I'll show you guys how this works. It works very nicely. All right, I'll be right back. Oh yeah, you might be wondering, well, how do you communicate with this KPC, right? And I'll do that through this PC here. You can use a terminal like a PuTTY, or I use MOBA Xterm. You can connect to this TNC through its COM port. For example, right now, this guy here goes from my TNC, and then through it's a DB9 to a USB adapter. So and then basically connect through a COM port, and that's how I will reach this guy to send packets through it and then communicate with the rest of them. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so the Labs workspace area redesign for November 2019 is finally completed. As you can tell, the electronics workbench area, the ham radios area, radio section, and its workspace area, and my desktop workspace area is all completed. Let's quickly start with the electronics workbench. Just quickly before we move on to the equipment, so these are my parts bins. I believe these are at least 4 to 5 years old. Right now they are all very well organized. As you can tell, they're color coded, etc. But these parts bins have reached their capacity, and there are several overflows, as you can tell here. So that needs to be considered for porting over to these new parts bins I acquired from Amazon. They're about 64 in each. There are about 4 of them here. And so I'll be doing that sometime, maybe one of these weekends during the holiday season. maybe during the Christmas time. I'll take care of that. Um, but then again, nothing has really changed in my electronics workspace area other than this one here. This is the LED lighting. I got this from Sam's Club a couple of days back, and I think I paid 27 bucks for this. I actually got three of these. One of them is installed in my workshop in the garage, and this is the second one. So it really, as you can tell, it really lights up the workspace very nicely. And up until now, I've been using this guy here, this magnifying glass with the built-in fluorescent lighting. So let me show you quickly how this works. That's how it used to be for close to a year and a half, maybe. It worked okay. I mean, I think for my soldering related work, this actually works really well. I still will be using this magnifying glass because I work on quite a bit of soldering and whatnot for experiments and such. So I will still need this, but the lighting isn't the best in the world. As you can tell, if I just pull this back, you can tell it really lights up the workspace. So that's that. Moving on to the ham radio side of the business here. I mean, historically, or up until the last redesign, the HF, the packet nodes, the DMR, the UHF, etc., they were all kind of combined together. They were kind of cluttered all over the place. I tried to bring some order and some categorization of these equipments here. What I try to do is keep all the HF on one side, and then the packet side on one side, and then the DMR here, and then there's some voice in there somewhere. But really, majority of the stuff is packet nodes with DMR with the voice, although I'm working on a data for DMR as we speak. And then, of course, there's my ham workstation there, which is really the controller of all of this stuff here. Let me quickly walk you through what's going on here. So this is the external facing packet node on 14567 here in the Twin Cities area. This is currently serving up as with the alias MNPLK, Minnesota Prior Lake, and it currently offers 4 services on this TNC KPC 9612 Plus. The first one is it runs a digipeater at in that frequency 14567. The second one is a mini PBBS service which runs as a -3. The POXAG pager service runs on -5, and lastly, it also runs the WinLink RF gateway for checking your email over RF. So those 4 services run on this box, this system here. Although the POXAG requires the baud rate to be 9600 baud rate, and that is being handled by this Kenwood 710GA. As you can tell here, 96. That's a 96 baud rate for this guy to process that request from the KPC 9612. If you haven't watched already the POXAG video, please do, where I talk in detail about how this is all wired up. So that's that. Now, for me to be able to test this node, I wanna be able to have access to a secondary TNC so that I can connect to it and then test those services on a periodic basis, which is what I have here. Although I don't need a beefy 75 or 50 watt VHF radio, all I need is a 2 to 3 watt radio. And so that's what this guy does, the FT1D, Yaesu FT1D, that's hooked up to my KPC3 Plus. All right, so moving on here, like I said, this does a POXAG. It also does some voice and other stuff here, and for monitoring purposes. This is the Yaesu FT2900. This is currently serving up as the ISS satellite eye gate, and it is connected to this guy here, which is my microsat eye gate unit. And right now it's currently turned off. That's because right now there is no satellites passing through our space here. And when it does pass through my QTH, I have this application here that's called the STPO, and STPO helps you recognize when the pass-through occurs, and it automatically turns on the microsat for the duration of that pass-through. So if you haven't already watched the previous video, STPO, Sierra, Tango, Oscar, Papa, or rather Papa, Oscar, please do, where I go through in detail as to how that works. All right, so again, this is the DMR voice currently connected up to my Buck Hill repeater on local 9. It is also scanning on other channels in the Twin Cities area. And of course, here's my IC 7800, which I use for packet and also for voice, as well as I'm trying to get this thing to work for WinLink as well as for remote propagation idea that I'm working on. So that's that. Bunch of pagers. I have some pager here that I can use for testing. That's my Frogger 100. That's the Motorola pager programmer. That is the N0AGI. This is the center, the station that pings, sends out beacons for the repository objects here in the Twin Cities area. I think it serves up about 20 or so objects nowadays. That's it. Overall, there's nothing fancy going on. Really, that's the quick rundown. I'll do a separate video of the node, the local node working with the external node and how that interaction works. Here's my workstation area. That's an AOC 43-inch, and that's an LG 43-inch. So I spend a lot of time in front of my computer. So in this case, the bigger the better for me, because I do a lot of coding not for my work, but in my hobby time, when I have the time, that is on weekends. I try to spend my time on programming on Azure, on Raspberry Pis, on robotics, Linux drivers, and some system programming and things of that nature. So I like getting my hands dirty. So I definitely need a large screen like this one here, where I do a lot of VS coding and VS Code coding, and spend some time there. I also have recently acquired a new digital camera. I used to be a macro photographer many years ago. I used to have a Nikon D3, which I sold, must have been 3.5 years ago. I just recently acquired another new Nikon camera. I'll do another review of that, or a walkthrough of that. So I will be using this monitor to do some work with the camera and digital photography and things of that nature. So really, that's it. A quick walkthrough. Thanks again for traveling this journey with me. Nothing fancy here. And thanks again. We'll talk soon.